the army of the dead, Oathbreakers of Dunharrow. Of all the powers and peoples of Middle-earth, few inspire such quiet dread as those who defied the oaths of the elder days. For even in a world haunted by wraiths, dragons, and the dark will of Sauron himself, there are none so accursed as the Dead Men of Dunharrow, the Oathbreakers of the White Mountains. Their story is one of broken promises and an unrelenting curse, a doom that bound them beyond life, beyond death, until the world itself began to fade. This is their tale. Long before Gondor, before the last alliance of elves and men, there dwelt a race of men beneath the towering peaks of the White Mountains, called in their later days the Ered Nimrais. Little is recorded of their origins. They were a secretive folk, scattered across the high passes and shadowed valleys. Unlike the Edain, who traveled west and allied themselves with the elves, these men remained in the lands of Middle-earth, far from the light of Valinor. Their hearts were not inclined toward the Valar or the ways of the elves. Rather, they worshipped strange and forgotten powers, remnants of the elder darkness, spirits of shadow older than Sauron, who once walked the world before the rising sun. And so they dwelled in secret, proud, defiant, apart from the world of the great kings and who would one day come from over the sea. The world changed forever when the Númenóreans came. Elendil the Tall, father of kings, fled the downfall of Númenor with his sons, Isildur and Anarion. Upon the coasts of Middle-earth they founded great realms, Arnor in the north, Gondor in the south. And from their high cities they cast light and order across the land. But the men of the mountains trusted them not. They remembered tales of the sea kings of Númenor, whose fleets had once darkened the shores and struck fear into the hearts of lesser men. When Isildur came to the hill of Erech to claim the allegiance of the mountain tribes, he bore a great sphere of black stone, a relic brought from Númenor itself. Upon this stone he called the chieftain of the mountain folk and demanded an oath of loyalty. Fearing the might of Gondor, the chieftain swore, "We will aid the sons of Elendil in war and peace," he vowed before the stone of Erech. But oaths spoken in fear are brittle things. When Sauron stirred again in Mordor, gathering dark power after his master's fall, the hearts of the mountain men wavered. They remembered the terror of Morgoth's day, the shadow before the sun, and in secret they turned away from Gondor, fearing the wrath of the new Dark Lord more than the distant kings of men. When war came at last and Isildur called his banners to ride against the enemy, the mountain tribes did not come. They broke their oath. They hid in their high places, waiting to see which power would rule the world. But this they did not foresee, that Isildur, betrayed and enraged, would curse them with a doom undying. On the hill of Erech, under the black stone, Isildur spoke the words of their doom. "Ye shall be the last of your race. Never shall you know rest or peace until your oath is fulfilled. This doom shall bind you until the world ends, or you make amends." And the shadows gathered. For these men death brought no release. They became phantoms, bodiless, breathless, trapped beneath life and the void. They could not pass beyond the world, nor fade into nothingness. They haunted the cold caves beneath the Dwimorberg, the haunted mountain, forever tormented by guilt and fear. The living feared them. Their whispers chilled the air. No man dared the paths of the dead. Even the kings of Gondor left them be. For who can break curse spoken by a son of Elendil? And so the ages turned. The paths of the dead, a winding, black maze beneath the white mountains, became legend. The Rohirrim spoke of strange lights flickering in the deep, of voices without shape or face. They gave the place dark names, Dwimorholt, the haunted hold. No lord of Gondor ventured there. The curse was left to rot in silence. But the curse did not sleep, for in the secret design of fate, in the far-off days of the Third Age, there came one who would claim the right of Isildur, Aragorn, son of Arathorn, last of the line of the kings. The shadow of war spread over Gondor once more. The corsairs of Umbar, allies of Sauron, sailed up the coast with black sails. If they were not stopped, Gondor would fall. In the last hour of hope, Aragorn chose the path of death. With Legolas the elf and Gimli the dwarf, he entered the dark Undermountain. Through the chill halls of Dwimorberg they walked, hearing the rustling of ancient bones and whispers of lost souls. The dead gathered around them, pale green lights in the gloom. At the stone of Erech, Aragorn stood and cried, "Oathbreakers, why have ye come?" And the dead answered, "To fulfill our oath and have peace." Their ancient will was broken at last, for here was the heir of Isildur, the rightful king of Gondor. His voice bound them by the same doom Isildur spoke. Aragorn commanded them to follow him, to war against the black ships. At Pelargir, upon the river of Anduin, the black sails of the corsairs darkened the water. But no mortal army stood against them, no living sword nor bows. Instead, the dead swept down, an unstoppable flood of pale wraiths. No blood could wound them, no arrow could harm them. The corsairs fled in terror, their ships abandoned, their hopes ruined. The battle was over without a stroke. At last, Aragorn stood upon the stone of Erech once more. "Be at peace," he said, and the curse was broken. The shadows of the dead men of Dunharrow dissolved like mist in sunlight. Their long torment ended. The paths of the dead fell silent. No more shadows whispered in the dark. The Dwimorberg stood empty, a tomb without ghosts. The curse of Isildur, after 3,000 years, was lifted. And yet the black stone of Erech remains. Even in the Fourth Age, some say strange things stir there, and the wind cries out at midnight, and that cold light flickers in the caverns when the moon is new. A warning, perhaps, for oaths in Middle-earth are no small thing. They are as iron and fire, unbreakable, eternal. And to betray them is to risk the doom of the Oathbreakers and the shadow that follows forever. So ends the tale of the army of the dead, men who feared the wrath of Sauron more than the honor of their word. and who paid a price beyond death itself. Let all who hear this remember, in Middle-earth, no power is greater than an oath, whether spoken in fear or in hope. Elven kings, even wraiths, even the gods themselves must reckon with a vow unfulfilled. And so they passed into shadow and into legend.